from your perspective, how important is it for organizations to connect the financial management with the program outcomes when they're applying for grants?
Yeah, this is essential. If you are now have any federal funds or anticipate those in the future, the executive order put out by Donald Trump here in August, which is still evolving, very much brings this to the forefront. No longer are you just submitting an invoice for reimbursement. If these things go through, how does the expenditures that you are asking for reimbursement align with the outcome, is what they want to know. And if you're not thinking about that ahead of time and you don't have this in place when you write the grant narrative, this is going to be a difficult swing for you. And even if they're not asking for that, if you've thought it through and you can demonstrate it in the application, that you are able to do this, then you again are a cut above everybody else. And that's, as federal funding tightens and more rules evolve, there's more pressure on private philanthropy, which means there's more people going after the same pot of money. And so how are funders evaluating who should they fund? The ones that have these things that go above and beyond the application are also ones that stand out. But when you are talking about the connecting the dots, I think for me, when I work with nonprofits, one of the biggest things I see is siloed siloed functions, maybe is how I want to say it. Like the person writing the grant is often different than the person executing the grant, who is also different from the person financially managing the grant. And a lot of times none of these are talking. And so I've written the grant, it's over. Now I'm done. But how you've written the grant is really important to how we're executing the grant, to how we're financially managing the grant. So one of the things I talk a lot about with our customers and my clients is you need to have a collaborative space and able to talk with each other at least on a monthly basis. How can everybody see what the intention was in the grant for the execution, for the reporting, for the outcomes? And you have to be able to have these space to have these conversations every single month, watching your budget versus your actual versus your outcomes. And I think if you can start to have those conversations, you'll realize how beneficial they are and how much stronger you'll be both in the application and in the after award piece of the process.
Yeah. Well, and it speaks to just the importance of having those technology systems in place, because I think, and I don't think I see it on a day-to-day basis, but a few of the things that we at least see that get nonprofits prevents them from being able to have these regular conversations about what's going is that they don't have the data that they need at the ready. And so if you have to go chase it down in 800 different spreadsheets and to really understand what did we spend the money toward, or where did the money go and how many people were impacted and what were their outcomes, if that's going to take you a whole entire week to get all that data in one place, analyze it and make sense of it, of course you're going to be less likely to create regular structures to have those meetings, because it's going to take so much time to prepare that as soon as you get ready, you're going to have to, go back and do it again. But I think when you have, and this is leading into, we're going to talk about sustainability here, but when you're without those systems, it truly is nearly impossible. So important.
Which is why we built the software in the first place.
Yes.
Because I've been we both sat in those shoes and said, surely there's a better way.
Yeah. And I definitely you said something that, it's so important to have the program people and if you have, evaluation people with the grant writers, with the fiscal management people when preparing these grants. Because I can't tell you, and I'm sure you've seen it on the finance side, how many times, after the fact, the grant is won and then it's like, oh, we said we were going to measure this. And it's like, okay. Like that has nothing to do with the
Yeah.
program design at all.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
therefore the
Yeah.
outcomes are not going to look good. So,
Right. And that is also so true on the finance side of things too.
yeah.
The grant writer often will write a grant and there'll be three categories, right? Like
Hmm.
personnel, supplies, and something else. But
Hmm.
how does that grouping translate to the way your money is actually managed?
Yeah.
And how do you know like where your funding gaps are if you can't, if the finance person, I've had many times people say, well, how come this budget is blown out? Well, if say it's travel, well, maybe the grant writer wrote travel in this category, but the finance is managing it in another category. This
Hmm.
is this lack of communication
Yeah.
across all dimensions. And so you're right, ahead of time, having that communication, being able to see it, and then afterwards with the outcomes as well.
Mhm.
And not just managing them when you're closing the grant, but
Yeah.
throughout,
Yeah.
like you said, yes, every month talking about it
Mm.
throughout.
Yeah.
Yes.